Good morning and welcome to Into the Terminal, episode 22. I'm Eric, the IT guy Hendricks, and joining me are Scott McBrien, and joining us as the first guest of Into the Terminal ever is Rich Dorito. With that said, let's dive into our critical path today.
So the first thing we want to talk about was turning on simple content access, I think, Eric.
It is. So the first thing we're going to do is make subscriptions easier. So if you go to access.redhat.com and log in with your account, we looked at this in episode 6, and we'll have that linked in the show notes. And we're going to go ahead and log in with a test account that we set up for Into the Terminal. And we're going to use the correct password. It's been one of those days already. Chrome issues, Restream issues, password issues. What do you expect? So then we're going to go over to the subscriptions tab, and we're going to take a look at what subscriptions we have available to us. And then the big gray box is what we want to draw our attention to. From episode 6, you'll remember that here's where we can see what systems we have registered, what subscriptions we have active on our account. But what we didn't talk about was this feature called Simple Content Access, and we'll get into what that is a little bit later in the episode. But if we click Enable, then what that'll do is that'll automatically attach certain repositories to our subscriptions. With that enabled, actually, Rich, do you want to jump in and talk us through how to enable Swatch?
Yeah, so Subscription Watch, which is a component feature of Simple Content Access, they kind of work together. SCA makes it super easy for you to register systems and not have to worry about attaching subscriptions to them. Swatch is how we keep track of where you're using the Red Hat products so that you can keep track of what you're using without having to do all the subscription attachment. So to enable Subscription Watch, which we call Swatch for short, you head over to console.redhat.com. And then you'll go ahead and you'll click on either OpenShift or RHEL. In this case, we're talking about RHEL. And then you'll go down to subscriptions after you click away the Red Hat Insights thing. And then click on any of the various permutations of RHEL. So let's say all RHEL will be perfect here. And then you go ahead and you'll hit the Activate Subscriptions button. And then basically what happens is once you hit this Activate Subscriptions button, what we'll start doing is we'll start pulling in your Red Hat inventory from our customer portal. We'll pull in OpenShift inventory from OpenShift Cluster Manager. And if you're a satellite customer, you have the ability to send us your inventory. And this gives you a account-wide report of where are you using the various Red Hat products, how much of them are you using, and then we also compare that to the subscriptions you've purchased. So we're trying to find this balancing act of how much subscription management do we need without having too much friction, and Swatch and SCA let us do that. So as an operations guy, register your systems using Subman. You don't have to worry about attaching subs. You don't have to worry about pool IDs. You don't have to worry about that complexity anymore, and that's overall a good thing. But at the same time, you still want to track how much you're using because you want to make sure that you're using the subscriptions that you've purchased. And if you need to buy more, buy more. Or if you have to buy less, buy less. And that's what subscriptions give you the ability to do. So this will take about 24 hours before it starts showing you charts because we generate that inventory daily. And then what you'll see on the right-hand side, what our little chart is on the right, don't log out yet, Scott. But if you see that chart on the right-hand side, it'll basically show you that historical view of the subscriptions that you've actually purchased and the usage you've had.
So with Simple Content Access and with Subscription Watch, we can ease a lot of the frustration that we've seen over the years with subscriptions, with repository management. And with that, we'll dive into the second half of our episode.
So, Rich, I wanted to show a actual picture of what Subscription Watch is or looks like while it's running. So I went ahead and logged in with our account that we use for managing all of the RHEL subscriptions that we use for demonstration and lab purposes. So if you wanted to retouch on what's where, we could do that.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So, so in this account, this is a view of Subscription Watch, and we're looking at all RHEL. And the thing that's of note here is we do count the RHEL differently because different types of subscriptions provide different types of RHEL. So we count physical RHEL, virtualized RHEL, which includes standalone virtual machines as well as hypervisors, and then we also track RHEL running on the public cloud. So you can see below in the inventory, you'll see that there's one system that has one socket of RHEL is running on the Google public cloud, and we'll show that for other public clouds as well. So Amazon or Amazon or Azure. And what we can actually see in this chart is over the past month is what we're showing by default. We can see the daily high watermark of usage for that particular day. So you can see in that purple section the amount of RHEL that's being used has kind of fluctuated. It's on a public cloud, right? So you're probably spinning up instances and spinning down instances, and we're tracking that for you over time. So it becomes a very useful tool when you want to do things like, hey, I want to have a conversation with my account guy about what I need to buy next year. We have historical information. We also have current state information. And then lastly, up at the top on the top left where it says usage, or on the right where it says daily, we give you the ability to filter that view based upon various usage types. So like SLA is up there, so you can filter premium or standard. You can filter by usage type, whether it's production support or development support. And then on the time index, you can take that back from a daily view to a weekly, monthly, and even a yearly view. So Subscription Watch went live in, I think, 2019. So we've been tracking historical data for customers who've been using it since 2019. So if you ever want to look at like how much RHEL have we used over the years, we have that information as far back. And I think we do keep it for 3 or 4 years before we expire it out. So that's Swatch in a nutshell. It's a very powerful tool. Like I said, it pulls in data from a number of sources, and it's intended to make it so that tracking your subscription usage is easy without having the complexity of attaching subscriptions and pools.
So, Rich, just a quick question. One of the things that we use in this account that we're looking at is simple content access, because we don't want to deal with having to assign subscriptions and pool IDs and things like that to boxes. But I also don't do any management of the systems, like unsubscribing them. And yet we can see that my my usage is fluctuating up and down. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so generally we try to represent your inventory as accurately as possible, but we do have some aging out procedures that we do for systems that are in inventory but no longer checking it. So historically, if we were in a world where we were attaching subscriptions, you would have to register systems, deregister systems to get back the entitlement so you can reuse it in other places, which causes a certain amount of operational pain we'd rather avoid. In a world with simple content access, while it is still a good idea to keep your inventory as clean and accurate as possible, if you unregistered a system or you like powered off a system and forgot to unregister it and it's still in inventory, we stop counting it within, I believe, 14 days of its last check-in. So even if you have old systems that, hey, some admin spun up a bunch of boxes, got them connected, and forgot to delete them out of inventory, that's fine. We'll stop counting them in inventory. They'll stop being reflected in your Subscription Watch charts within 14 days.
Thank you so much, Rich. So one of the things we wanted to talk about was, what does this look like from an operations perspective? So if we wanted to deploy, say, an image using simple content access, what would that look like? So let's go ahead and share out your screen, Rich, and let's talk about Red Hat Golden Images.
Alrighty. So on the public cloud, there's a couple of ways that we can go ahead and acquire access to Red Hat Enterprise Linux. One of the ways to do that is, the classic traditional, consumptive way of connecting to a cloud provider. Whip out the credit card, spin up an instance. Gold images are a function that Red Hat provides on the public clouds, and it's so that you can take a subscription that you may have, such as like a Red Hat Developer for Individual subscription, and be able to run RHEL workloads on the public cloud without having to worry about the complexities of being charged for the hour by RHEL or the subscription management. So what I'm going to show here is we have a system that I spun up on the public cloud. On the public cloud, when you get access to gold images, we configure a functionality called auto registration, which basically when you sign up for Red Hat Gold Images, you give us your Amazon account number, your Google account number, or your Azure account number. And what we do is we tie together the account provider's identity with your Red Hat identity, and we automatically wire your boxes into our registration workflows. So you literally don't even have to run the subscription manager register that you used to run. So I'll show you how that works on this particular image running in the public cloud. So this system's up and running. I'm just going to show you what version of RHEL it's running. So auto registration is a thing that exists on the public cloud for RHEL 8.3 and above. So any RHEL image that has RHEL 8.3 or above, or RHEL 9 when RHEL 9 is released. And we are also backporting this functionality to RHEL 7. So you'll have this functionality kind of out of the box. So you go to your cloud provider, in this case, Amazon, you spin up your instance. The instance will, light itself up, and it'll kick off this process, which we call auto registration. It happens in the background, so we'll actually have to look at a log file to see what happens under the hood. So if we look at RHSM CertD .log, you'll see that we have a number of log entries. And basically, auto registration, the way it works is the system boots up, it waits 60 minutes plus a little bit of randomization, and then it connects into Red Hat and says, has this user authorized me to check in with Red Hat? And if that's happened, then great. We automatically register the system because you told us to. And that gives us the ability to, just start doing stuff. So for instance, now that this system's connected, we can go ahead and verify its connection by running subscription manager identity. This will tell us what Red Hat account the system's connected to and what's the host name it's connected as. I can go ahead and run a subscription manager status. It's going to come back and it's going to tell me, hey, you're in simple content access mode. You got access to the bits. We don't have to worry about subs because we turned that on in our account. And then lastly, I can go ahead and install packages and do some really cool things. But I'm going to skip that for 1 second to talk about something we have called system purpose. So system purpose is a utility that's included in Subscription Manager. And the purpose of it is to, if you can tell me more about the type of system that you are, that we're running. Let me see if moving this over helps. Nope. So if you tell us a little bit more about the type of system that you're running, we are able to better inventory and track that system's subscription usage. So system purpose is a command actually called syspurpose. It's going to become part of the subscription manager command in RHEL 8.6 instead of a standalone command, but both will work in RHEL 8. But we can do a syspurpose show. And I previously set the system, hey, I want premium SLA for the system. And I'll show you how to do that. So do set SLA to, let's say I didn't want premium support, set standard. And by me changing the system purpose of the system, what happens is when I go into that subscription watch dash and I sort by SLA, I'll see the system show up as a standard system. So it gives me a means to better inventory the system without having to do all of the attach a sub, pool IDs, auto attach. Like that's a lot of complexity that we want to remove, particularly from the operations guide, because at 3 in the morning, no one cares about SKUs. I need to go build a workload to support my business. We want to make that as simple as possible. So now that I got a system, go ahead.
So does this mean that it actually deallocates one of my premium subscriptions and then allocates a standard subscription to the system automatically behind the scenes?
Not at all. This is just a tagging functionality. Right? Okay. System purpose is honestly not even required. If you don't set it, the biggest thing that happens is that it becomes your inventory is not as accurate, right? So you won't be able to filter by premium or standard. You can set system purpose by hand like I'm doing here. It's also a functionality of activation keys. You can set it in a customer portal. You can set it in satellite if you're a satellite user as well. We try to put it as many different places. I think in the install episode, we did it during the installation. So we try to put it basically everywhere where that system can register to Red Hat. You have an opportunity to say, here's how I'm using that system. This is especially useful for RHEL 8 because RHEL 8 has a singular set of content for all of its different varieties, so workstation, server, and compute. So being able to say this particular RHEL system is being used as the workstation versus that one that's being used by a server is an important inventory fact that helps you to track your subscriptions better. So the last thing I just want to finish up with before we go ahead and kind of close out is the system's already connected to Red Hat. We've already established identity. We didn't have to register it by hand because auto registration did that for us. But we do want to take advantage of some of the cooler features that Red Hat has, things like Red Hat Insights. So I'm going to go ahead and just install the Insights client. Let's just do a yum install Insights client, which it should be installed by default in the cloud image, but it likely needs an update. Yep. Go ahead and install the Insights client. And then now that the Insights client package has been upgraded here, just go ahead and run the Insights client -- register command. And that'll get me connected to the Insight services. And what you'll notice is that this system did not prompt me for any form of authentication to connect to Red Hat because we already took care of that. The system's already connected. We already established an identity with Red Hat. So it'll go ahead and do its Insights client register. It'll pick up the data that the Insights client requires, and you'll see it in the Insights console as provided by the link below. So that's kind of the quick workflow of, you can go ahead and get a developer subscription. You can go request access to gold images, which sets up auto registration. That gets your instances automatically configured to connect to us. And then you can layer on top of that the Insights functionality if you care to use it.
I can see so many different use cases for this, being able to stand up quickly images, whether they're in my data center, on my laptop, or out on a cloud provider. And like you said, if I need a system quick, I don't want to have to go and look up my subscription, go find the right SKU, or realize that activation key was deleted and have to create a new one. If I want to just be able to hit the ground running, simple content access and subscription watch is definitely the way to go. If you have any questions for Rich, we've got a few minutes left in the episode, so feel free to put those in chat, and we'll call those out. Scott, do you have anything you want to cover?
No, we had a little bit of back and forth about Satellite, which is another Red Hat product to do management of RHEL. I see one just came in, though.
Yeah, so David asks, with the inclusion of smart management and marketplace instances from providers like AWS, can we use this tool to track that usage as well, or just direct Red Hat subs?
So that's a very good question. So Subscription Watch is for generally direct Red Hat purchase subscriptions. In fact, one of the things that we do in Subscription Watch is if we know that a cloud instance has come from a cloud provider, and that is you pulled out your credit card and you paid the cloud provider directly for that instance, we actually don't count it as part of your subscription obligation because it isn't, right? You're paying the cloud provider for the usage of RHEL in that instance. You aren't covering it with subscription capacity. So we actually ignored them for the purposes of subscription counting. However, you can connect those systems and install Insights and take advantage of all of the other goodies that are included as part of the package. It just happens to be that, for subscription purposes, those systems there's no requirement to track them.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll kind of tease out our next episode, give folks a few more moments to ask any other last-minute questions. So tonight, make sure to join Scott McBrien and Rich Dorito for Dark Mode. So we'll bring Rich back on, and we'll go through this content again. There's kind of a subculture that's being formed in dark mode. Scott usually fields some interesting questions, gets a little bit deeper. So it's a deeper, more interesting look. Sometimes it's some of the more straightforward operations that we do in the light mode version of the episode. Also, join us next week for session recording. We're going to talk about how to log into a system and have all your commands registered and be able to play those back, and why you might want to do that. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at RHEL. Join us live for RHEL Presents and Into the Terminal. Showtimes are on our YouTube channel. Other than that, Rich, thank you so much for walking us through Simple Content Access and Subscription Watch.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, congratulations on being the first guest on Into the Terminal.
I hope I didn't screw it up too bad.
No, not at all. But make sure to like and subscribe and share this episode. We do look at performance and how which content you all are most excited about to kind of drive future content. So use your mouse to like, subscribe, share, and help us guide the future of the show. Meanwhile, on behalf of Scott and Rich, I've been Eric, the IT guy, Hendricks, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.